Got it.
All right. We are on. We are live on the Moz Files. I am Mosey the Must See. Today with me, I have Dayton. We're going to be two veterans just shooting the shit. Today, we will be talking about the transfer portal, how we feel, who we like in it, and what we can see coming from it, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start by saying one of the common things that I keep seeing is a lot of people are not a big fan of the transfer portal. Um, I see a lot of people who say it seems like kids don't want to compete. Kids are afraid of working hard. They don't like a coach that's getting on to them. But at the same time, I don't necessarily like that take. And the reason I'm not a big fan on that take is because I'm a firm believer that if you want to succeed in life, you have to put yourself in a place to be successful.
Agreed.
That's something that you learn as you get older as an adult. And I feel that for these kids, learning that at a young age is something that's it's big, it's important. But at the same time, you have to know where you're taking advice from, because a lot of these kids do enter the transfer portal and it doesn't help them. They would have benefited from staying where they were at. But it is important to me that they do make that decision. And if you want to bet on yourself, you got to bet on yourself. We can talk people who have bet on themselves and they've changed their life. If you look at Joe Burrow was a backup quarterback, and we all know that politics is part of football.
Well, just Ohio State's roster. I mean, yeah. Every single year. Like, it's the same thing as Bama. Bama can have 9 or 10 players at any given time that have Heisman Trophy capabilities, and they're chilling on a bench. Like, anytime. Wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks. So when you go to those Ohio States, Alabama, not Clemson anymore, but Clemson used to be deep as hell like 5 years ago. You have guys that are just chilling, waiting for their next up, and you can't do that anymore. You can't wait until your senior year to have one great season. You're not going to get drafted, or you'll go undrafted, or you'll get picked in the 7th round. Like, look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's the first Mr. What's it called? What's the last pick of the draft? Mr.
Irrelevant.
He's the first Mr. Irrelevant to throw a touchdown in the NFL. Mm-hmm. What did Brock Purdy do in college? He didn't start all 4 years, that's for sure, because he wouldn't have been Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, it's tough because that age is a factor. Unless you're like a trailblazer. So Joe Burrow was old when he came out, and a lot of people did bring up his age, but at the same time, you couldn't deny the talent Joe Burrow has. Not everybody has that talent. So it's politics. You have to put yourself in there early, get yourself somewhere, and honestly, you benefit more coming out at the age of like 22, 21, things like that, because they get more time with you. So yeah, that whole I'm waiting to my senior year and I'm gonna have that one good senior year thing, it is not working.
No, if you're trying to be tough. If you're trying to be a first, second, third round pick, you need two. You need 2 very solid years on tape, and then you can bounce. Then you're good. And it can't be 2 really solid years at like a New Mexico State or something. That's where the transfer portal, I 100% agree with it. If you're the best player on a shit team, go compete, leave. Do I agree with the whole changing of the rules to where you don't have to sit out a year? I don't know about that. I think the fact that it just got switched up so quick is kind of unfair to everybody before them who had to sit and wait out and do everything. But it's whatever. It's a business now. My question with the transfer portal, my main question is now that we are paying college players and there are these destination schools that were always, I'm going here to win a championship. Now it seems that's out the window, because look at all the players transferring from Bama. Ohio State's going to the Natty, so they're going to keep it up. But like, how can you ensure that colleges aren't just letting endorsements do all the persuading, if you know what I mean? How do you know that colleges aren't? Because Texas spent what, $250 on the recruitment trip for Manning.
Manning, yeah,
For Arch Manning, 250 grand on a recruiting trip. I get that you can pay players, but how is the school like? It's just weird. It's a weird, murky area when you're like, how is a school's money going towards this? How do you? Because now schools are becoming these like everybody wants to go here, and they weren't shit before.
Well, that would come from so colleges have a lot more money than people really like think they do.
Oh, for sure.
Because you got to look at these coaches. These coaches are making 9-10 million a year. You got Jimbo Fisher. People are talking about do they stay with Fisher? But yet the buyout on Fisher is 89 million. But the fact that people still question, do you get rid of him? And I'm like, oh, that's not even a question. Why am I going to throw that much money in the trash? The Nebraska coach. They were talking about him. Oh, what's his name? Scott Frost.
What's it?
Was it Frost?
Trying to think of the. I literally was just listening to something 2 days ago, and now it's not even touching.
But there was a whole big thing on him where if they would have waited a few, I think a month, if they would have waited that month or so to cut him, his buyout would have been cut in half. But they were so ready to get rid of him, they just ate the money. And that's why I'm like, even a school like Nebraska, it was Scott Frost, but even a school like Nebraska,
Matt Rule's the new coach.
He's the new coach, which that's a good pickup. Matt Rule was bad in the NFL, but there's a difference. There is a difference because people have to remember Nick Saban didn't do anything in the NFL himself.
No, Urban Meyer's a top 10 all-time college coach. He didn't even make it a full season.
Mm-hmm. Matt Rule, he changed the program in college, and so that's a good pickup for Nebraska because once upon a time, Nebraska was a powerhouse.
National championship. They had that. They had the wishy-washy national championship where it was them or Michigan, right? It was like 99.
Oh, one of those
98.
moments.
Yeah, where it was like it's up for debate on who was the national champion that year, but it was Nebraska or I think it was Michigan.
I can't remember that one.
I can't remember either, but either way, they haven't been anything for 25 years.
Yeah, they've struggled. I'm trying to think of the last time Nebraska was a threat. I know they beat Did they beat the Longhorns when they had Ndamukong Suh? I believe
that's what I was just about to say. The last time that I can remember Nebraska being like relevant was with Ndamukong Suh, but it was mainly just the defense.
Yeah, and he was nasty. That I still say. Everybody loves the show. The quarterbacks love when you say best college player ever. You hear Tim Tebow, Vince Young. You hear all these quarterbacks, and even if you get into the running backs, you might hear OJ, Barry Sanders. But I'm like, and Ndamukong Suh. Oh, that man, he was dominant. Like,
I mean, look at Charles Woodson. He was the last defensive player to win the Heisman.
Yeah,
but he was a force. You couldn't give it to anybody else that year. Which I think, I don't know. The Heisman is probably a completely other podcast, another topic, but I don't think the Heisman is the Heisman anymore, and I don't think it has been for a while.
It's quarterback of the year award.
Essentially, not even quarterback of the year. Quarterback
the same with the NFL. The MVP is quarterback of the year
MVP,
award.
not MVP. MVP hasn't been MVP for a minute.
Yeah, because honestly, if you ask me, like MVP this year, man, I'm like, the difference a Micah Parsons make, the difference a Nick Bosa makes. Like, those are two dudes who the Cowboys offense was trash. Oh, it was trash. The 49ers offense, trash.
Yes.
And those dudes kept them above water.
Not even just above water. The NFC's wide open right now. Now, granted, I think if Garoppolo was still in it, I would favor the 49ers just because he's been there before. He knows what the postseason's like. He knows how to get from A to B. And with that, look at the weapons the 49ers have. It's unfair.
Yeah.
It's unfair. That's probably one of the best run offenses of the past 25 years with Debo and McCaffrey, if McCaffrey's healthy.
They are, but that's the thing is if McCaffrey's healthy, because to me it's when does McCaffrey get hurt?
Every year, every year. I don't draft him. I don't draft him in fantasy for that reason.
Oh no, I don't either. And matter of fact, I skipped over Derrick Henry because they use him way too much. I was like, I'll get another running back. But with the transfer portal, now one of the things I had said was like, there's a lot of people who do make a mistake and they leave when they shouldn't because you're dropping a free education. I forgot, it was 1,000, wasn't it? Was like 2,000, 1,000, no, maybe 1,500. I want to say when the portal closed last year, there was like, man, I'm gonna say 1,000 players still sitting in the portal who didn't have a team. And that's crazy because now you don't have more than likely you don't have a full scholarship anymore. You're now getting
or you're gonna end up on a Netflix show fighting at a junior college to get some tape so you can get back to D1.
Yeah, with a partial scholarship, and it don't make sense. Some of these
partial scholarship, no nice gym, no free anything, no free tuition, no free lunch, no free nothing. You're just sitting in a room with 4 other guys every day.
Yeah, just
sucking it up.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. But at the same time, like I said earlier, with the Joe Burrow, Cam Newton was at Florida, Kyler Murray was at A&M.
Cam Newton screwed the pooch at Florida and then had to go to Blinn. And the only reason he went anywhere after Blinn was because he won the D2 national championship with Blinn.
No.
And then goes to Auburn.
I don't think Blinn was D2. I think they was below
junior college.
Yeah, I believe they were just like a straight up JUCO. Like, I don't even know what they were part of, honestly. But no, because Blinn's not. But
I know he won the championship there though, because I saw his tape from his highlights while he was at Blinn, and it was just watching one man dominate an entire defense the whole time he played.
Yeah, he was a man amongst boys. It really didn't even look fair. Yeah, it's a JUCO college. It's not D2. But so with that said, there are some players who I am excited about hitting the portal. I'm gonna be a homer. I'm gonna be a homer. I'm gonna speak about the Dayton kid first, but Spencer Sanders. I want to know where he's going to go.
You think did he already enter?
Yeah.
I wasn't for sure if he already entered yet.
I saw a note apparently that he wrote as well where he was thanking everybody. Now, granted, you can always pull out. Can always pull out. So
which I think it wouldn't be a bad idea for him. I don't think Oklahoma State's a bad team. I don't think him transferring to. Granted, I'm a Notre Dame fan. I would love to see Spencer Sanders go to Marcus Freeman and be like, hey, the only thing y'all are missing is a quarterback. Let's get back in the top 5. Mm-hmm. I would love that. But I don't think if he stays, he's doing himself any harm.
But who do they have? Like, their best team was when he was young and he was not ready. But now, if you watch them play this past year, now, granted, before somebody kind of gets me on that, he did start to struggle down the stretch. But at one point, you could argue he was a top 3 player in Big 12. Matter of fact, people were saying his name before they were saying Max Duggan at the beginning of the year because everybody.
Well, Max Duggan was a joke at the beginning of the year.
Yes, because everybody was talking about.
Ewers.
Man, huh?
Ewers from UT.
No. I mean, he had big time talk, but I'm talking about as far as best player of the year. It was man, why can't I think of his name? The Kansas quarterback, like Jaden Daniels.
Man, see, you get brain stumped on it, and then I know the answer, but then it happens to me.
Oh, my bad. It's Jalen Daniels. I was close. Shit,
close. I knew it was something like that.
But he was the guy that everybody was talking about. That was the number 1 player in Big 12. And then after that, you was talking about Spencer Sanders as far as winning Big 12 player of the year. Now, straight up, best player coming out of Big 12 is probably Bijan Robinson. He's going to
100%. He's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, he's gonna be a top pick.
And if he's not a top 10 pick, someone's slipping and they're gonna get a steal and later in the first round.
Oh, man, he's the truth. He
He
does
reminds
it
me of
all.
Jamal Charles, like a little flash of Jamal Charles. Like they don't do that much like receiving with him, but you can tell that he can do it because they do it sometimes. But he's just so quick and laterally quick.
Mm-hmm.
Which
you know who he reminds me of, and I know a lot of people won't like this comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people won't. If you think about him in his prime, I like to compare him to Ezekiel Elliott. When Ezekiel Elliott first
At Ohio State,
yes,
or
Ohio
Ezekiel
State.
Elliott? Okay.
Ohio State, Ezekiel Elliott. You got to remember, the first man was missing. His ability in tight spaces.
Yeah, his yards after first contact were dumb at Ohio State.
He was strong, and at one point Zeke had explosion. He had a little speed. Now he wasn't the fastest running back, but he had enough, and that's what people do question on Robinson. Is they say, how fast is he? What's his top speed? And that's why I like to kind of compare him to Zeke, because, and once again, because I believe Zeke was 4.45 speed.
Yeah, I think when people look at running backs like Bijan and they talk about their speed, they're also not comparing them, or I think they're mainly comparing them to stretch runs like 20 yards and above, where they're running besides cornerbacks and safeties, who are by far the fastest people on the field at any given time. So when you're a 4.4 guy, but you're running alongside a 4.31 guy, of course you don't look that fast. He's going to catch you. Yeah. But nah, he'll be fine. He's going to be good.
Yeah, I believe he's gonna be a beast. Matter of fact, if he fell
Hudson Card already elected to enter the transfer portal, and I'm wondering what the dilemma between Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning is going to be, because I don't think if Quinn Ewers, Sarkisian is already he's a Manning Pass Academy guy,
but Arch has already said he's on a red shirt.
That's declared. He's redshirting 100%, or he just said all red shirt and he can be talked out of it before he gets on campus.
Nah, 100% red shirting. I believe they'll I believe they'll reopen up the battle, and it'll be Ewers versus Murphy this off season. I would like to see Murphy get a real shot. I like Murphy. He has size. He has an arm. He has athletic ability. And Ewers, man, I don't know what happened, but after he got hurt, he did not look the same. And I know it was a small amount of time when he was going up against Bama, but when he was playing Bama, like,
he looked like a stud, bro.
They looked like a stud. Man,
they were going to win that game. I don't care what anybody says. Before he gets hurt, they win that game.
Yes, absolutely. And then the injury happened, and I don't know what happened to him. But
you can just tell. Speaking of that Bama game, I don't know if anybody remembers. You could tell the first like 3 or 4 plays of Hudson Card being in that he was not ready and he was not happy about playing Alabama. That was the most deer in headlights looking quarterback I've seen ever. And I get it. Like, you don't start. You're not a starter. You're coming in against Alabama. It's got to be shocking. But, bro, that changed the entire game. Like, there wasn't even the same momentum at all after Card came in.
But what killed me was the fact that they announced there was a quarterback battle. They said Ewers and Card was close. They were like, it's a quarterback battle.
Card's trash, bro.
Hold on. I won't say he's trash, because I am excited about Card going into the transfer portal, because he is very fast and he has a decent arm.
I hope he stays the fuck away from Notre Dame, but that's just me. I don't want him coming to Notre Dame.
But I'm thinking of him,
maybe it just wasn't the offense for him.
I'm thinking of him at like a UNT.
Major downgrade, but
you get film. You get film. People like to neglect how important film is. Do you remember Rhett Bomar?
Yeah.
He was at OU, got in trouble. When he got in trouble, he went to Sam Houston State.
Okay.
He got film. He went to the NFL. He didn't do anything, but he got there. You remember Gilbert, UNT? Colt McCoy gets hurt in the national championship.
Garrett Gilbert or Justin Gilbert?
No, Garrett Gilbert. Garrett Gilbert.
Right.
And he looked like terrible. He looked terrible. Right. And eventually he left Texas. He dropped down to a smaller school. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he dropped down to a small school and gets filmed.
Look it up.
Makes it to the NFL. People underestimate how important film is. I would love to see Hudson Card go to a smaller school because with his athletic ability,
he went to SMU.
SMU, that's it.
From Texas to SMU.
Yeah, but SMU at that time, SMU was not today's SMU.
Man, talk about. I think SMU. So this is just. There's no evidence behind this, but I just see this happening, just because of SMU being the first school to get knocked for paying players, and SMU is a very proper school in Dallas with a lot of really rich alumni. I give it 3 or 4 years before SMU is back in top 25 talks every single year. Like they are going to be that school again.
Oh yeah, they had a really good recruiting class. They shocked me with some of the people that they brought in. So I give them. I mean, you got to develop the people, bring in another class. 2 years, give them. I feel like I'm doing them wrong, a disservice by saying 2 years, but give them 2 years. I think SMU is fighting for a top 25 spot.
Oh, for sure. And plus, like, I know when kids are on the fence about a lot of schools, that they typically try to stay the closest school to home. Mm-hmm. And North Texas is a football powerhouse. Like most schools in North Texas produce D1 players, especially if you're talking about Dayton, Geyer, like Billy Ryan. They send out D1 players every year. Mm-hmm. If there's a powerhouse school 20 minutes away from home, where are they going to go? They're going to go to Dallas. They're going to stay local. Why? Because they can get paid. They can flex. They can come back to Dayton. Like it's just SMU's has all of the components around them to just stay and pick up local talent.
Oh yeah, if you look at this weekend, playoff games of this weekend, if you look at the talent on the teams that's going to be playing, so Geyer has the #1 quarterback in the state, Jackson Arnold. That kid is the truth. I've been telling people he's the truth. People were not listening to me, I feel like. I mean, like, people knew he was nice, but I was like, no, he's the truth. Like, in all honesty, everybody knows I'm a Longhorn fan. But I like Jackson Arnold more than Arch Manning. I'm going to say it. It is here. It's recorded. You can pull this up, and you can pull this up.
You can pull it up, but I will say, though, like Arch Manning getting blown the fuck out in his last game, kind of, I don't know. He was kind of invincible. Like, anytime you heard about Arch Manning in high school, it was 5 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 500 yards, 437. And then, like, those last numbers at that last game would scare anybody. If I'm Texas, I'm like, are you rocked? Like, are you mentally rocked? Are you just pressure? Like, what was it?
Well, the thing for him, the common thing that I hear from him is the team is bad. The only other good player on Arch's team is the tight end.
The tight end that's coming to Texas with him.
He's coming to Texas. I think he's I don't want to lie. I think he's a 3-star. Yeah, I think he's a 3-star tight end. But a lot of people who have seen them play is like, he's more of a 2-star tight end. He gets a lot more love because he is Arch's guy. And
right. My stepdad is a UT graduate, so like every time I go home to visit, I hear about everybody that's coming. I knew about the Sarkisian shit from like UT alumni chat rooms that he was talking about before it was even on ESPN. Which, I mean, I think that's probably the most impressive thing in the Big 12, and I don't know how long, is how fast Sarkisian has turned around that franchise.
Yeah, but he needs to do
not franchise.
But he needs to do it on the field. Honestly, that's the only thing. He's got to do it on the field. Next year,
what's Texas? Texas is what, 18 or something like that right now?
No, I think they're
They didn't get bumped out of the top 25.
No, they're ranked, but I think they're 20 something. I think they're 20 or 22.
And it's his first full year as coach.
No. Last year was his first full year.
Last year, so this is his second year.
Yeah, last year they did bad. Oh,
but to go from I don't know, not talked about. When was the last time Longhorn football was talked about in a serious way?
Every
5
year.
years? 10 years?
No, you talk about Longhorns every year. Longhorns,
but like in contention, talking like
no,
this
okay.
team is something that can go somewhere.
No, not like that. No. But I was like, the Longhorns is kind of like the Cowboys of college football. You have to talk about them. You just have to, because it's Texas.
I was gonna crack a joke. I'm not gonna crack a joke.
But
I was gonna say Longhorns got a championship that's a little bit more recent than the Cowboys' last one, but no, I just think that what he's done recruiting wise is insanely impressive, and especially the landing of Arch Manning when Texas wasn't even in the conversation before Sarkisian showed up. Sarkisian showed up, and then it's he's leaning towards Texas now, and that's because that's a Manning passing academy dude. He's a quarterback's guy.
But the main thing that I think is impressive about him is, let's be real, Texas has always got skilled players. They always had some quarterback to be excited about. Whether he performed or not, you were excited about him when he got there. Garrett Gilbert was bad, but Garrett Gilbert was seen as one of the top quarterbacks in I don't know.
Texas. He's from Duncanville.
Texas history. He was one of the top quarterbacks.
Right. Well, same thing with Case McCoy. Case McCoy was a monster in high school.
I thought he was. I never did like Case McCoy. I liked Ash.
I was an Ash what though? Guy. This is off topic of the transfer portal, but have you been watching the midseason Hard Knocks on HBO?
No, I have not been watching it.
It's so good, but I like anything Hard Knocks. It's just the way HBO films documents their shit. I've never had an opinion about Colt McCoy. I never hated him. I never liked him. He was just like, I don't know, just whatever to me. Mm-hmm. But this last week's episode on the Cardinals, when they showed him like having to step up for Kyler and how he played, and that dude is so dedicated to like just being a backup and to being a professional quarterback. Like he's the day before he's watching tape. And it's not even just watching tape for himself. Like he watches tape for Kyler. And I think it's really cool to see when you see a backup quarterback that's like, this is my job, and my job is to also help the starter. It just gives you a little bit more respect for him to know that like this is a job, and for me to do good at my job is to help other people. It's just cool to see someone who's not so cutthroat about like, it's my time to shine.
Yeah, that's and
it's also his 13th year in the league. So what do you got to lose, man? Like you were a journeyman your whole career. This is like his first 2-year stint with the team in a while.
That's true.
But back to the transfer portal. Are we going to talk about Dion?